Before we get into the video, I would like to take this time and say a big thank you for your nice comments on the last one. It was your positive feedback that motivated me to make another one in such a short notice. Thank you very much and enjoy.
my friends.
I now believe as you do.
Gladiator's stance was the glorious memory in a warrior's arsenal.
But to preserve it, you must be willing to fight.
So yeah, rest in peace, Gladiator Stance. You will be missed. You surely made an impact when you were alive. Now let's talk about both specs and how they feel in their one-hand shield version. We're gonna start with arms, and honestly, it's my favorite because it feels a lot smoother. First of all, when you have one hand on as arms, it generates the same raids as if you had two hand. For example, if you generate 28 raids from your basic attacks as arms with a two hand, you will generate the same raids with a one hand. With Fury, that's not the case. They generate 8 and 3, if I'm not mistaken. Might be different, but whatever the case, it's way less than arms is. So personally, arms is the most entertaining spec to play with a one-hand shield than Fury. I was playing with Bladestorm before, and now I switched up to Ravager because it's better, since if you want to be camping your shield in one hand, then you're gonna need something to apply mortal wounds and the yeah, basically not mortal wounds, but deep wounds, your mastery, and that is Ravager. You could Bladestorm, yes, but Bladestorm has a longer cooldown than Ravager, especially if you play with the PvP talent that reduces the cooldown of Bladestorm, that transforms into a Ravager by 33%. As you can see here, I get a lot more raids from my auto attacks. I can switch back to my two-hand to apply the deep wounds debuff, but again, it takes me a global to cast another spell. As you can see here, I'm changing up the PvP talent to the damage, to the cooldown reduction of Ravager, and it will feel much better using it. Now, as you can see here, I'm checking the necklace. I could go with Vision of Perfection, but I want to make it as how should I put this? Original as possible to Shadowlands, because when Shadowlands lands, we won't have essences. So if you want to consider playing one hand and a shield as arms, this is how it's gonna feel like it. You initiate with Avatar, Colossus, Ravager, apply a slow, but since it's a dummy, there's no need for me to apply any hamstring. But you should apply a hamstring before you use Colossus Mass, so you can keep the target close to your Ravager. Again, I'm spamming my abilities of Slam, Rend, and other stuff, but always make sure that I have enough raids for my Ignore Pain. I'm not switching to my Mortal Strike. I mean, I'm not pressing Mortal Strike because I don't have a two-hand equipped. If I press it, my macro will equip me my two-hand, and I can use the ability again, but then I will have to wait for a whole global. So the upside, however, of Fury, which we are going to get to in a minute, is that you can use Bloodthirst while using one hand, whereas arms can only use Mortal Strike, as you can see, while wielding a two hand. As a one hand and a shield, you can only use Shield Slam, Slam, Overpower, Rend, any spell that isn't Mortal Strike, basically. So you can use every other spell than Mortal Strike when you are arms. Now we're gonna go ahead and change specs to Fury. So we can talk about that spec as well. By the way, as you have already noticed, this is a voiceover, a recording that I've made. And if you guys don't like this because it's too raw, it's not edited, and sometimes I stumble over my words, or I might not make sense from time to time. If you don't like it and you want me to edit every version of the video so that it's smoother when I speak, I can do so. Please let me know in the comments below. Your feedback is very important to me, so don't be afraid to ask. Anyway, as you can see here, these are my talents. I won't go with Impending Victory because I want to use everything in my disposal of making the spec feel healable or like sustainable with Bloodthirst only. And now we get to the actual gameplay of me using 2 hands and then going to my 1-hand version. Now I thought I might use some spells to generate raids as Fury and see how it feels, if it's smooth or not as arms. What now? Alright, yeah, my keybinds need a little work on the PTR, especially for Fury. I haven't had too much time with the spec because I'm having too much fun with arms. So yeah, so anyway, Fury is not an ideal spec to play a 1-hand and a shield because of the lacking on rage generation. You're better off using your 2 hands to use your other abilities and generate your rage to use your Ignore Pain. The main issue with the spec, I said it before, I'm gonna say it again, is the 80 rage requirement on your Ignore Pain, which is bad. It's just not, it doesn't feel smooth on your rotation. You can't use it to maintain it on yourself. You have to spend a lot of raids that will cost you a DBS eventually, and it will drag you down. So anyway, as you can see here, I'm using Bloodthirst only so I can demonstrate how it feels like. It's very slow. I don't want to spend raids on Hamstring because 10 raids will cost me like 1 more extra global. Look at my raids bar. It generates very slowly because Fury generates normally less raids than arms, but they attack faster. That's why they generate less raids. So it makes sense. If they have a 2-hand, if you have a 1-hand and a shield, however, it's even slower because they don't attack as fast. My personal opinion is that the spec shouldn't feel that way. It should be different. And if you guys want to play with 1-hand and 2-hand, goddammit, 1-hand and a shield, then arms is your go-to option. Hopefully Blizzard will listen to the players' feedback and reduce it by 20 raids, if not 40. But as it is right now, it's just not worth it, even trying it. Just stick to your 2 hands. You're better off with dual wielding, even with 1 hand. If you want to dual 1 hand or dual 2 hands, just don't use shield. It doesn't work. You do way less damage. You generate way less rage, so you have no rage to spend on your Ignore Pain sometimes, or even on your Rampage. Also, I know that I only duel 3 rogues, but the idea behind it is not to play with a shield in 1 hand, but to mitigate some of the enemy's burst damage. That's about it. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't, hit the bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video, and I'll see you next time.